And we are live. Welcome, brothers, to another show. Today we have my good friend Eric Brent, CEO of Family Cash Machine, on Money Talk Tuesdays, fellas. So I'm sitting here scrolling through Instagram, and I follow Rick Ross, the real Rick Ross, not the rapper guy, the kingpin of the 80s and I think some early 90s. And I'm scrolling. And I see my boy Eric, being interviewed by Rick Ross, and I'm like, hold on, that look like Eric. And then you start talking, I'm like, oh wait a minute, that is Eric. Now, so I'm like, really good interview, good conversation, brother. Tell everybody where you come from, man. What city and what state you coming from?
First of all, I want to thank you, Aaron. I'm privileged and honored to be on your show and to be a part of the Black Men Travels. I think it's an excellent organization because we need to travel more and we need to see the world and see what's out there for us. But again, yes, I was interviewed by Freeway Ricky Ross, the real Freeway Ricky Ross. I have history with him. A little bit about my background. I grew up in Chicago. About the age of 12 or 13, I moved to Compton, California. And everybody told me, you in Compton, it's like, that's bad. And coming from Chicago, we didn't even have grass. I played in parking lots, vacant parking lots and stuff like that. So when I moved to Compton, I saw grass. I said, you guys got grass? And so, it was for me, it was a step up from the projects, the Cabrini Greens in Chicago. But when I moved to Compton, a little bit about my background, of course, I was a street hustler. I made a lot of money coming from Chicago to Los Angeles, and I hooked up with a group of individuals who we had our own Colombian connection. Yes, we did. With a direct Colombian connection, we made a lot of money. We counted millions of dollars every day from the time I was about, I would say 17, 18, until I went to prison in 1990. 1990, I went to prison. I was gone for 10 years. Now, being gone for 10 years, now, I'm not going to go into a lot of the stuff we did because FBI got files on us that thick. I did business with Freeway Ricky Ross quite a few times. I was on one of the biggest crews in Los Angeles. Young Tommy Whitmore, who was a top fuel performer. He had a top fuel license racing drag cars that he paid for. No sponsor, no tie, no Fruit of the Loom, but we actually sponsored our own damn cars. And people don't realize how expensive that is. So we was doing it on the highest level, man. We was all over the country. We made a lot of money, and we all did a lot of time. I think Tommy did about 27 years. He just got home. I did 10 straight, my first case ever in life. And we had about 17 people on our case. Everybody knows us. I met, I did a lot of business with Harry O. I know Harry O, who started Death Row. I know a lot of individuals, man, from Los Angeles that made a lot of money. What was that picture you just showed?
We'll get to that. My bad.
Okay, yeah. So this is my background is that. And so when I went to prison, I actually had an opportunity to meet some multi-millionaires and actually 2 billionaires. They sent me to Lompoc first. And when I went to Lompoc, I had the opportunity to meet Michael Milken. You guys can Google Michael Milken. He went to jail for SEC violations. He's a multi-billionaire, and so he's still a billionaire. So he taught a commodities class, and he also taught a stock class, which I took. I decided to teach to learn money on that level. And then I also met a gentleman named Ivan Boesky, are 2 of the gentlemen that I had opportunity to do time with. Because as you know, in the feds, you're doing time with all kind of different individuals from all different walks of life. But Ivan Boesky, if you guys don't know who he is, he's also a billionaire. You can Google this guy. He had an opportunity to learn with him stocks, and this guy is brilliant. He's the movie, I think Wall Street, not Wolf of Wall Street, but the movie Wall Street is actually about Ivan Boesky, and this guy almost bankrupt Wall Street with his insider trading information. And I remember walking the track with him the last day he was in Lompoc. Myself and a good friend of mine named Haskell Watkins. Shout out to Haskell, Big H from Pacoima. He was on I think he was on Bo Bennett case. But anyway, long story short, he told me, now 25 years old, he said, Eric, if I spend 30 something, no, 3 million. It was 3 million a day, 3 point something million a day.
Mm-hmm.
It would take him 36 years to be broke. That's the kind of money he had. And so, at 25 years old, it really didn't, marinate with me. But still years after that, I was like, damn, it kind of marinated that $3 million a day. You can't even spend that kind of money. I mean, there's only so many Bugattis you can buy, only so many houses you can buy. 3 million a day. And this guy's a mathematician. You guys can Google this stuff. I can't make this stuff up because, again, these guys was in Lompoc with me at the same time I was there. I was at Lompoc from 1990 to 1994. Then they sent me all over the country. I went to a lot of other institutions. But at the same time, I learned a lot about money. Then I came home. I became a millionaire again in 2003, 4, 5. I started doing real estate in 2000. I'm the first black man, the only black man in the state of California with a commercial and residential real estate appraiser's license. Now, people don't know what that means. That means that when I sign my signature, FHA, Fannie Mae, FDIC, all had my signature certified. Now, what federal felon do you know with that status? And so I have that accomplishment. I thank God that I'm a fighter. I fought for that. They didn't give it to me. I fought for it, and I won in court after 9 months. And so again, like I said, there's not many felons that have that kind of status. So that's my background. When the real estate crashed, I was a millionaire again on paper. I didn't have cash, but I had assets. I had over 3 million of assets. So it's safe to say I was a millionaire. When the market crashed, I lost a lot, went through a bad divorce, had to start all over again. And so that forced me to really learn money. Like, I need to really learn about money on a whole nother level. So that's pretty much my background.
Okay. I want to shout out to we got some super chats real quick, brother. Shout out to my man's Richie Rich from Roll the Tape. Let me go ahead and put that on the screen. He says, salute to BMT and Eric. I will be in LA Monday. Show me around Compton, bro. Shout out to Richie Rich.
I'm sorry to tell Richie Rich, I'm in Santo Domingo right now, Dominican Republic. You guys can see Dominican Republic behind me, but I'll be back in Compton. I'll be in Los Angeles around March, but I'm on a journey right now with cryptocurrency. But go right ahead.
Another super chat from my brother Passport Lee. I appreciate that, brother, for the $4.99 super chat. He says, money talk with Money Bag. What we're talking about today on Money Talk Tuesdays. So we were talking earlier, brother, and you was explaining to me about the parallels of, business as far as streets and high-end business in corporate America. We're talking about the guys that's moving around millions. Yeah. Can you explain some of that, like the parallels of doing business in the streets versus doing business in corporate America? And because you've been in both and you've seen both. So what are some of the parallels there?
If you guys notice, most of the individuals from the streets, like Freeway Ricky Ross, most of the guys that come from the streets, and a lot of people don't know that Puff Daddy's father was Melvin Combs. He actually was one of the right-hand men of Frank Lucas. Now, Puffy never met his dad. He was like 2 years old when his dad died. But that is in his genetics. I think Kendrick Lamar said that certain things in your DNA. So if you watch Puffy, he moves and he's brilliant with branding and things like that. That's in his DNA, man. It is what it is. But I, noticed in the streets, it takes a lot of skill, man, to be a drug dealer. It really does. It's not as easy as people think. It's a lot of luck, but it's also a lot of chess moves, because you got so many factors against you and you got so much different dynamics against you. So you have to develop certain skill sets. You have to learn how to market. You have to really learn how to network. You have to learn how to administer, and you have to deal with people, and you have to be able to identify, like jealousy, betrayal, all this stuff. You have to be able to identify relatively real quick because your life depends on it. So because your life depends on it, you develop skill sets that are the same skill sets in corporate America. Now, I didn't know, I was doing things like corporate America. I was doing administering, I was doing networking. I didn't know the name of these things until I actually started going to business school. Then I started realizing some of the things they train you and teach you, I already knew. I just didn't know the name of it. But it's one thing to do something. It's a total different thing to understand what you're doing. It's more power when you understand exactly what you're doing. If you're just doing something by, just automation, that's cool. But if you actually understand what you're doing, that's more powerful. But in the streets, to compare the two, and I told you this before the meeting, I'm gonna be honest with you. When I got into corporate America, I thought I was happy. I was thinking I was getting into something that was legit and all of this. And I actually met more unscrupulous individuals in corporate America than I did in the streets. Because in the streets, when I grew up in the 80s and 90s, well, actually in the 90s, the whole 90s I was gone. But in the 70s and 80s, I was pretty much hustling from 77 all the way to 90 till I went to prison. There was a lot of loyalty. There was a lot of camaraderie. There was a lot of, people keeping their word, and their word was bond. And when you go to corporate America, you just don't see that. It's just like a dog eat dog, And so it's definitely a difference between the two worlds. But there's a lot of similarities in the sense of the skill sets that you need. Communication is the most powerful skill set that an individual can have. So the whole time that I was in prison, I'm telling you, I must have read at least 1,500 books. I'm not going to even lie, because I didn't want to be that individual in there talking about what I used to do and what I used to have. Because one of the things about going to certain places like the feds, when I first got in, I met a guy named Frank Gambino, who was actually the real son of the real Gambino. And when they brought him in the cell with me, they had him like Hannibal Lecter. And I was like, why y'all put me in the cell with him? Like, this guy was, they had like 20 marshals bring him in. They flew him in on a helicopter. He was in the cell with me, and the story he told me it was out of a book. It was out of a movie. But he did tell me one thing. He told me to be careful talking about your case in jail, because they had people in there that were actually trying to get, time off, and so they can hit you with new indictments. So I didn't want to be talking about my case in there. I basically wanted to figure out what I was going to do when I got home. So I pretty much, worked to the weight pile, worked out for an hour, then I went straight to the books. And I studied like 8-9 hours a day, all kind of different things, from history to corporations to business to, real estate, everything that I could get my hands on, I pretty much studied. But it's kind of similar, both of the two worlds, with the exception of, like I said, when I grew up, the streets had more of a bond of the word. Now, it's not so much the case. People pretty much sell their soul for a dime, So one of the things I want to tell entrepreneurs out there, if you have any kind of entrepreneurial spirit, before you start making money, define who you are. Make sure you set your definitions of who you are, and set your limits and your boundaries of what you go for and what you don't go for. Because when you get into like the music industry, you get into the movie industry, you get into like Wall Street, there's people that got billions of dollars, and they'll pay you whatever you want, but they got strings attached, and they'll try to sell you, to have you sell your soul. So you just gotta be, you gotta have your definition of who you are, or you in trouble, because they got all the money in the world to pay you whatever the hell they want to give you. But if you don't have any defining characteristics of what you go for and what you don't, then money is the only thing you're going for, then guess what? You're in trouble.
Mm-hmm. That's very interesting. So
he said that's interesting.
It is very interesting. When I was hearing about everything that was going on with the GameStop and Robinhood, I'm a Robinhood investor as well. You was the first person I hit up, because we did a video maybe about a month ago and you was the first guy I've actually heard to say the stock market is manipulated, right? Yeah. And when you said it, I was like, well, how could it be manipulated? But I kind of just, let it ride off. And then when I'm reading about what happened with the Robinhood and, how they looked out for the hedge funds and stuff like that, you the first person that came to mind. I hit you up immediately, and you explained to me exactly, what happened. So can you explain to everybody what really happened with this Robinhood situation with the hedge funds?
Yes, I bought like 9 different slides that I want to show the public. I'm a person that connect the dots, man. I'm a researcher. I love the research. I'm not with the conspiracy theories crap. My attitude is if you can't find the facts, you know, it doesn't exist. And anything that's truth, you know, people tell me all the time, they say, Eric, how you know what you know is truth? I said, because the truth always cross-reference itself. It doesn't matter what source or where you go to look, it's going to come back to itself. It's going to stand on its own. You know, a lie is fragile. It's not going to, you know, it's not going to withstand any kind of cross-reference. So let me go through some of these slides and show the people and prove to my point that the stock market is highly manipulated. Highly manipulated. It's been that for years, all the way since the Great Depression. It's been manipulated by the rich, by wealthy, people that's connected, and all this other stuff. That's why Marcia Stewart, it was interesting, she went to jail for insider trading, but that's been going on forever. So she pissed somebody off. I don't know who she pissed off that locked her up, but this is how it goes in that game. So go ahead and show this first slide, and I want to talk about how the incest, it's like an incestuous.
You see the screen now?
It's all incestuous. Like all these companies are interconnected.
Hold on.
So when you like my YouTube channel is called Follow the Money, because what I'm finding out in life is when you follow the money, you find a whole different reason why they killed Kennedy. You find a whole different reason why, you know, they killed Lincoln. It's not what history told you. When you follow the money, you get to the real truth.
That's very true.
That's what it's all about. So let me show you guys how that started. There she is again.
Hold on. My bad. Hold on. Let me. There we go.
Okay. Now, when I started following this story, I saw that Reddit. Oh, go back.
There you go.
Yeah, there it is. Reddit co-founder calls GameStop a frenzy from the bottom-up revolution, shifting power to the small investors. So basically what he's trying to say here is this was started by the small investors. It's a revolution of small people. And I think the reason he's saying that, because Reddit is like a platform of bloggers. People blog on Reddit and that, you know, and so this is what's going on. But when as I study this and investigate this further, there's so many moving parts going on. I'm not going to say it's just the small investors and the people who jumped in and did the cattle run. It's such a huge moving parts going on in this whole thing. So go to the next one. All
right, hold on, give me a second. You see that?
Yeah, blow it up a little bit.
There you go.
Okay, now Ohanian, who is the CEO of co-founder of Reddit, he said that GameStop short squeeze, which has fueled the video game retailers stock up nearly 2,000 this month alone, shows disruptive nature of the internet. So basically what they're trying to say is the internet and people on the internet have the power to disrupt these corporations, these huge stock market entities and hedge funds and things like that. But I want to share with people right quick what a short is. A short is basically, okay, say the market's here. The market's here, and then, you know, a short is when you don't own the stock, but you get a stock. I mean, you get in, okay, it's like you don't own the stock. And so here's the stock right here. And so when the stock goes down here, you buy low. So that in between is your profit. So a short is basically you controlling a stock that you don't own. That's basically what a short is. And so go back to that slide again.
Okay.
So that's what a short is. And so that in between is what your profit is. Blow it up a little bit. I just wanted to share with them what a short is. Now, what's interesting about all of this stuff is there was 138% of hedge funds. They liquidated 138% of GameStop. That's called leveraging. Now you might be trying to figure out how the hell they do 138%. 138%. Because they use leverage. They use credit. Okay? And they dumped 138%. There was a couple other stocks, but GameStop was in there. So what happened is when that was noticed, the people on Reddit, they started blogging. Okay, let's go buy that stock. And so they shot that stock up. Now the problem with this whole situation, a lot of people now looking at this right here. Okay, amid GameStop explosion rally, short sellers have accumulated losses of 5 billion year to date of that stock, including the loss of 917 million and 1.6 billion on that Friday. Now, what does that mean? Okay, now you guys saw the stock shoot up tremendously. And what you guys don't understand is when somebody wins, somebody loses.
Mm-hmm.
So there's 5 billion loss right now that hasn't been cleared through the clearinghouse. So we got a lot of individuals, small people making money, and that's great. I'm happy for small people making money, and I'm happy for disruptive technology like Reddit, like blogging, like cryptocurrency. That's why I do cryptocurrency, because this is disruptive technology. Now, what do I mean by disruptive? Whenever you have a disruption, okay, let me go to let's say Uber. Everybody knows Uber, and the best way to make my example is Uber. Uber disrupted the taxi company. We all agree. It disrupted the taxi company. Now, when Uber started, it's an app, right? It's an app. And it's an app that's owned by certain individuals. And it allows other people to use the app, utilize the app, and to go through Uber and to connect with people that need rides, whatever. And it disrupted the taxi industry, period. That's a disruptive technology, period. And so what happened to all that money that went to the taxi industry? Did that money go away? Did it dissolve? No. Disruption, it's like a redistribution of wealth. So the money that was in Uber came from the taxi industry. So the taxi industry lost all these billions, but it went to the Uber drivers. You see that? So that's what disruptive technology does. So Reddit has been a blog for years. So now the power is in the people's hand, because when we see something through social media, we can boom, hey, Aaron, do this, do that, do this, do that. Now today there was or yesterday there was supposed to be a run on XRP, and I heard about it through the grapevine, but me and my team didn't move on it. And guess what? Everybody that got in it lost, because there was no data backing this. It was just people saying, hey, we're going to do a cattle run. That's not good enough for me and my team. Now, when Reddit people said, we're going to buy this stock, they were actually basing that on this information I just showed you, where 138% of GameStop shares was shorted. Wow. Billions of dollars was shorted, okay? Now, the problem with this short was it went down. Okay, we're talking about it here. It went down, and a lot of people got in here. These Reddit people, these bloggers, these individuals who blog to everybody, they got in here. They made a bunch of money in between. But now what's happened is because there's over $5 billion lost, the SEC has demanded that they cover some of those losses. So now we got the stock way up here. So people that got in now, there's no limit to how much they can lose because they're way above the stop loss area. Interesting. So we're looking at a huge loss of a lot of individuals who are in the hedge fund, and that money has been redistributed to average people, which I like that part of it. But the part I don't like is they're trying to make it seem like this is just a bottom up disruption, and I'm going to show you guys where it's more to it to that. Okay, and I'm sure that it's not just the little guys alone. Go to the next slide right quick. Okay, now Reddit co-founder, blow it up a little bit.
Hold on, hold me a second. There you go.
Yeah, Reddit co-founder. I mean, go move it down.
Oh, you want the next slide or this one right here?
GameStop. Oh, that's the first one.
Hold on,
Go.
Hold on, I got you. This one right here?
Yeah.
Or that one?
That one. Okay, now we getting there. Robinhood. Go. Okay, I can't see the top board. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's locked out.
Yes, small. Make it a little smaller. There you go. Bring it down. There you go. Robinhood gets almost half of its revenue in a controversial bargain with high-speed traders. Okay, this is interesting. Okay, Robinhood gets half of its revenue in a controversial bargain with high-speed traders. Now, I thought this was kind of very interesting because Robinhood is supposed to be this thing built for the little guy. I remember when Robinhood first started, and me and my team, we saw it, and it's free. It's supposed to be free trading. It's free trading. They actually made trading like a game, okay? But nothing is free, my brother. There's no such thing as free. Free doesn't exist. So when you hear free in real estate or stock market, be highly suspicious, because what I'm finding out about Robinhood, I just found this out over the last week, but for some reason we didn't involve ourselves in Robinhood because it's really centralized. It's a really strong centralized platform. So Robinhood restricts trading, GameStop, and it's supposed to be this. Look at the name, Robinhood. What does Robinhood incur? It basically represents
the rich gives the poor.
Yes, that's what it's saying. Okay, so Robinhood was a free platform to trade, and it kind of made trading like a game. Okay, go to the next slide. That's not it. That's the next one. Okay, now open that up. This is Tyler Winklevoss, one of the Winklevoss twins. If you guys know anything about them, they were a part of Facebook in the beginning, and they sued Facebook for over $300 million. They claim Mark Zuckerberg stole their idea. You guys saw the movie. They're highly invested in Bitcoin. They own a couple of platforms themselves, some exchange platforms called Genesis. But look at what Tyler Winklevoss said. He said Robinhood has never what it pretended to be. It's never what it pretended to be. It was built. It's built its business on selling Wall Street bets order flow to the hedge fund of Citadel. This is interesting. So in the moment of truth, we learn which customer it cares about. Is it really about the little guys? Are they really set up about the little guys? Now go to the next slide. This is going to blow your mind here. Blow it up. Now look at the left side. Citadel is a hedge fund that is owned by Melvin Capital Management. Melvin is a GME short seller predicted to lose billions due to the people taking the free market back. Scroll up some. It says Citadel owns what? What is that? What does that say, Aaron? What does Citadel own?
Robinhood.
Wow. Now Citadel is a private corporation that makes its money retailing, selling shares and stocks back to hedge funds, individuals. Wow. They flip the money. So from the beginning, they've been in the bed together. That's why I say it's an incestuous connection.
Okay, I see what you're saying now. So Citadel owns the app Robinhood. Citadel banned purchases of new GameStop shares on Robinhood. Market manipulation.
Yes. But hold up, it gets even better. Go to the next slide. Okay, no, I can't see that. Robinhood gets almost half its revenue in controversial bargain. We read that. Now, let me see that red part right there. It says Robinhood Market. Blow it up a little bit.
Okay, hold on. Right.
Robinhood Markets has built its reputation on the countercultural and steal from the rich ethics. Now, I like to read this stuff, man. I read a lot of boring stuff. I listen to Jerome Powell, listen to a lot of different boring stuff that my people might not really understand or have the financial background to break it down. So I do that so I can break it down to you. Basically, what's happening with Robinhood, it was started in that whole Wall Street when they, take back Wall Street crap, and they were going, remember the marches against Wall Street that happened back in 2008 and 9? So Robinhood was supposed to be a product of that, but they had it all wrong. All of these people that were protesting take back Wall Street, they were going against all of these hedge funds. They were going against all of these investors on Wall Street, but they had it wrong because it's really the central banks and the fiat currency system that's got everything all messed up. That's really what it is. It's not about these guys. These guys are juggling and trying to create a situation where they can continue to breathe life in a dying system. So what's happening is people are not changing. The behavior of people are not changing when it comes to buying and selling stocks. The behavior of brokers are not changing when it comes to selling stocks. But what they're doing is changing the rules constantly. They're actually changing the rules constantly. And I'm going to show you that more and more in this. I got a couple more slides and then that's it. But I think I'm making my point because I don't think that the Citadel creating Robinhood, that was all planned out years ago. So they're actually the ones who are buying back. Wow, this is deep. They're buying back all of the products that people are buying on Robinhood. They're buying these products at a retail price. So you're buying it higher. You're thinking you're buying it and you're not getting no charge. It's free software, but you're buying these stocks higher. And then they're reselling them or giving them to Citadel, which they're reselling it. Or immediately when you buy these shares, they bet against them. Wow. And then when they bet against them, they resell them and they make an all of them. It's interesting how this whole manipulated system is working, and it's not going to last for long. It's on life support as we speak, and this is why I'm into the cryptocurrency. This is why I'm teaching people about money, and I'm teaching people about how you could you can kind of maneuver around all of this and create wealth for yourself right now. It's a huge opportunity for people to create wealth. Again, like they said, the little guys have an opportunity to get in here as Wall Street is trying to redefine itself, as central banks are trying to redefine themselves, governments are trying to redefine themselves. We have an opportunity to actually get in positions to get wealth redistributed to ourselves. This is what we teach in the Family Cash Machine. But you got to understand some things about economics when you're trying to study cryptocurrency. And that's what we teach you. And you got to understand some things about politics, which Mark Zuckerberg didn't understand. He understood about cryptocurrency. Of course, this guy made billions of dollars with technology. He's a programmer. He's a developer. Of course, he understood how blockchain and cryptocurrency work. But he didn't have the knowledge of politics and how the whole politics of economics work. That's what he was lacking. And that's why they're going after him right now. It's obvious that he was lacking and he had holes in his understanding of what's going on right now. So let me go to the next slide. And I'm going to get through this real quick. We're almost done. Can you get the next slide? We can wrap this up and then we can talk. There's only maybe 2 or 3 slides left.
You see it? You see it on the screen?
No, I don't see it yet.
Okay, hold on, my bad.
Wow, okay. Blow that up a little bit. Okay, I want to see that second red area. It says almost all retail brokerages employ, scoops, move it over a little bit. I'm sorry, I can't read it.
Can you see it now?
A little bit more to the right, a little bit more. Okay, there it is. Thank you. Almost all retail brokerage. Now remember, I told you, Citadel is a retail brokerage, and Citadel owns Robinhood. So Robinhood is in the retail market. Wow. Robinhood is selling you guys these stocks at higher prices, and you think it's free, okay? And they're supposed to be for the people, but they are in the bed and they're owned by Citadel. Now, mind you, I want to share this with you. Citadel is one of the companies that actually dumped that 138% of the stock that the Reddit people are now buying. You see this connection? Did you see this incestuous interconnection with these companies?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now almost all retail brokerages employ the practice called payment for order flow, but it's an unlikely strategy for a company built on an anti-Wall Street message. Basically what it's saying is, how in the heck is Robinhood for the people in the market of retail sales, of retail brokerages? That's not for the people. That's for the hedge fund people. That's for Wall Street. Okay, next slide. I'm way off. Okay, blow it up a little bit because it's getting interesting. We're almost done. Okay, move it over. There you go. Move it over to the right. Chicago-based Citadel Securities account. Move it 40 for every 100 shares based on individual investors. Basically what they're saying is 40% of Robinhood's income is coming from Citadel, reselling to Citadel these retail stocks. Now remember, Citadel started this whole debacle by dumping those 138 and shorting the market with 138 shares. You understand what I'm saying? 138%. They started this whole thing with that, and they're in the bed and reselling this stuff and buying it back and reselling it. It's interesting how this is all manipulated. And this is what the whole point I wanted to make to people is how it's all manipulated. There's more moving parts that I'm not going to get into, but I just want to show you guys the interconnectedness of these companies that started this. And they're trying to say it's the little guy on Reddit, of course. Now, the good thing about it, like I said, is because we have social media, we have blogging, we have instant information. A lot of people saw this and they capitalized on it. I'm not mad at them. But what I'm saying to you, they wasn't alone. This was orchestrated. This was very sophisticated. What went down? Okay, go to the next one.
I think that's the last slide.
Huh?
That's the last one right there.
Okay, let me see the one down at the bottom. Is it red at the bottom? Yeah, there it is. Go down to the last one. Go to the last one. There it is. Okay. Yes. It says, move it over a little bit so I can see. I'm sorry. To the right. Yeah, there it is. So, okay, so they make money by automatic taking the other side. This how Citadel make their money. Okay, as soon as we put our orders in through Robinhood, they automatically take the other side of what you, like if you short or if you buy stocks or whatever, they automatically take the opposite side, then return to make a flip on that trade. Wow. So they getting all the money, man. This is a whole lot of moving parts that the average person does not understand. So we can turn off those slides. I think I made my point is that all of this stuff is highly manipulated. Now, I'm not saying you won't make no money in Wall Street or trading. I'm just telling people that it is manipulated. You need to understand these moving parts. You need to understand you can't just jump out there, because if you do, it's almost like running across the freeway blindfolded. You might get hit. So you need to understand these moving parts if you're going to be a part of this kind of industry. Now, one of the reasons I choose cryptocurrency is because it is the first time that a market was created solely on people buying and selling and supply and demand. All these moving parts here that you're seeing don't exist. And there's so many moving parts in the stock market. It'll blow your mind. It'll discourage you. And a lot of people that's why we teach people how to buy gold, silver, cryptocurrency. These are the things that you want to have in an economy like this. As all these fiat currencies are crashing, you don't want to be stuck with that. Now, I do show my team a video, and I'm going to ask everybody on here to watch the video on Venezuela. It's a video on Dash Coin, and it shows how the history of Venezuela and why they went to hyperinflation. And it also shows you how people are using cryptocurrency to exchange value, to get taxis and Ubers and all that stuff, because their economy is so messed up. And it's going to happen all over the world, because you can't just keep printing money and pushing debt down the line. Eventually, it's going to come a day when you got to pay. And we're at that day right now. And so they're creating all these different sophisticated things to try to kick the can down the road. But it's going to be a lot of casualties in that whole scenario. And a lot of innocent people are going to lose a lot of money. And like I said, there's over $5 billion right now that needs to be cleared through the clearinghouse of those individuals and those hedge funds that actually lost. But I do like the fact that a lot of average people made money. The stock is still going up because average people jumped on it and they got in there and filled in the gap. Because like I said, information moves fast right now. And if we're on top of things and we really are watching out and we got the knowledge and we have the training to watch this kind of stuff, we can capitalize. But you just got to make sure that you're basing your decisions on data and not just somebody saying, oh, let's do this cattle run over here. They're gonna do a cattle run over here. They're gonna, they're gonna boost the market over. Don't base it on that. You have to have some kind of solid data that you're following. So what happened here, there was solid data that the Reddit people were actually following, which was at 138% of that stock being dumped and shorting that market. So they came in and filled in the gaps. The people who didn't catch it, they're going to lose. The people who got in when it went above the original price, they're going to lose because it's not going to recover at that level. It's going to eventually, the market's going to settle, and a lot of people are going to lose a lot of money. Just a few people made money. So go right ahead, man. Any questions you want to ask me about that? Did you understand that? Did it make sense?
Yeah, it made a whole lot of sense because I think we spoke on it earlier that the reason they can get away with doing this, right, is because of the lobbying they do with the politicians in Congress, correct?
Yes.
And you were saying how much money did they give Congress?
I think they gave over $400 million last year in lobbying Congress. That was the Citadel. The Citadel is again one of the major players, and they're in a position where they can borrow millions and billions of dollars. And now what's happened is they have passed some rules where these companies can now use the money that they borrow as leverage in the market. And that's a whole nother ballgame. We talked about that too. Let's say if I had the ability to borrow, say $500 million or $500 billion, and then put that back in the market, I can create frenzies. I can create cattle runs and stuff like that. So that kind of stuff you got to be careful about.
Right. We got a super chat from Delano Music, $2 super chat. He's asking, which online broker would you recommend us to use?
I don't have any money in the stocks right now because I don't really trust them. I'm just telling you that. Yeah, I don't have any money in them. I took all my money out of stocks. I'm just basically doing gold and cryptocurrency. Something that I know has value and is going to maintain value, is a store of value, because it's just too highly manipulated for me in the stock market right now. I know that there's a lot of things being done that it's like you're really gambling. You're really gambling. It's hard to alleviate the gamble because you don't know what kind of new tricks they're going to come up with, because they're constantly creating more sophisticated debacles to continue to try to make profits, because everything is kind of like upside down.
So with the Robinhood, I don't know if he's the creator of the app or the CEO, whoever the guy is. He was saying that the reason that they took GameStop off of their platform was because they simply didn't have the money for the leverage or whatnot. They needed like $3 billion to cover all the investments that the users made. But it seems like he was just plain out lying, right? Do you think that he just came out and just lied about it?
Of course, because he didn't. Like I said, I showed you guys the connection of them and Citadel. So this was all planned out. This wasn't something. This years. They already knew what their platform was going to look like years before they started the platform. They knew what the prototype was going to look like, and they presented it to the people as though it was for the people. But again, they're in the retail market, not wholesale. They claim to be in the wholesale, but they're actually in the retail market, and they have to come up with some kind of excuse to stop the bleeding, pretty much, and stop the trading. And I got notices because I signed up for Robinhood. I never used it, but I got notices, and my team got notices that they weren't allowing trading. But I just saw recently they're allowing a little trading. But just think about the individuals. I have some people on my team who they're stuck right now with some of these shares, and they can't liquidate. That's crazy. So you're stopping people from liquidating at a profit because they still have these losses that people have to actually settle that too. But that shouldn't have anything to do with Robinhood, but it does because they're a subsidiary of Citadel.
What do you think holds the future for stocks? Do you think stocks will one day be decentralized, or you think it's just going to be buyers and sellers and brokers, and that's going to be it to the end of the day?
That's a great question. I am a person who understands decentralization, and I know that there's an internal battle right now between those two philosophies. For years, for centuries now, since the early 1200s, money has been centralized. Money has come from one source, the central banks and governments. So when you talk about decentralization, it's revolutionary. I like decentralization because, again, when we talked about that example with Uber, Uber is a semi-decentralized platform. And I'm going to share it with you what I mean. Let's say Uber did what it did and decentralized. It kind of like it's a revenue sharing platform, basically. But it's still a centralized server. It's a one software that one group of people own. Okay, now, if somebody hacks their server, they got access to all these people who use Uber, the drivers as well as the people who use it. But on a decentralized, let's say I came up with Zuber, and I came up with a decentralized Uber. What would happen is that I would have a network. It won't be a software that anybody could get into that DApp, that decentralized app. And let's say right now Uber charges $100 for a ride. I'm just giving an example. 20% goes to the drivers, okay, and the rest goes to Uber. That's kind of how it's done. This is kind of I'm almost correct on that approximation. But let's say I got Zuber, a decentralized app, okay. I can charge people. I can say, okay, look, I'm gonna have an app where Aaron, the driver, can directly hook up with the people riding, okay. Now what's gonna happen is Eric can charge $60. He can charge $60 because he was only making $20 out of 100. He can charge $60 because now he can make $60 and he made more money because now we cut the middleman out. Now for the user, he's spending $60 versus the $100 because we cut the middleman out. So the user is saving money. The driver is making more money because it's a decentralized app that it's just everybody just directly peer-to-peer connect with one another. You see the difference in decentralization? And so that $40 billion that Uber made would be decentralized amongst the people. It would redistribute wealth. It would disrupt corporations as we know it. They don't want that kind of system because they like control. They want to control the masses. They want to not only control the masses, they want to pick and choose the Mark Zuckerbergs, the Bill Gates, and the few people that they're going to allow to have this massive wealth. That's the problem in the world right now, is you have 26 people. Listen, this is a statistic. 26 people in the world that control 50% of the wealth. That's crazy.
That's crazy.
Now, check this out. It's even deeper than that because you got 26 people that control 50% of the wealth. And they say that the rest of the world, 7 billion, is fighting over that 50%. That's not even true. And I'm going to tell you why that's not true. Because when you had Bush running for president, Bush, they had this survey and people were like, oh my God, Dick Cheney makes more money than Bush according to his taxes. Okay? Because Bush taxes didn't show 200, 300 million a year. And I saw that and I said, you guys missed it. Y'all missed it. You guys are saying Cheney got more money than Bush. Impossible. Bush was born a billionaire. And I just did a book called The Greatest Exchange of Wealth in History. And in that book I did, The Greatest Exchange in History, I studied all this stuff. And so there's only 2,100 billionaires in the world. So if you got 7 billion people in the world, 10% of that is 700 million. 1% is 70 million. So we don't even have 70% of the world. I mean, we don't even have 1% of the world, with $1 billion. There's like 2/10. It's like 2/10. Oh, I think it's like I think it's called, it's like 220. It's 2/10 of 1%. Yeah, something like that. 2/10 of 1%. That's what I had. Came up with 2,000 out of 7 billion. 2/10 of 1%. Something like that. So this guy was born a billionaire. So for him to show less than this guy, that's the magic for me. That I need his team. That's the magic, is that you were born in this elite class. And for you to show that you have less money than this guy with 200 million a year is impressive. So people don't understand how wealth is working. I said that to say this. You got Jeff Bezos, quote unquote, the richest man in the world. Okay? Because he's the one that claims taxes. He's claimed taxes. And then you have Mark Zuckerberg and Bill Gates and all these other people, is 26 people control 50% of the wealth, right? Wrong. What about the people who started banking, the people who create money, the people who are a part of the central banks, the Rothschilds and the DuPonts and the Oppenheimers? What about all these people that you don't see in the Forbes, who come from generations of massive wealth, who are the ones that print the money, that own the Federal Reserve, that own the central banks? They got some of that wealth too. So it's not even 50%. Wow. This is the problem in the world. Wealth needs to be redistributed to the masses. There's enough money for more people to have a good life. And that's the problem in the world, is there's so few people like Bill Gates that control so much of the wealth. He has now influence and power over health regulations, over governments.
Yeah.
Because we got too much power. This is the problem with a centralized system. So this is why I like decentralization, because it will help redistribute wealth, disrupt major corporations. I just told you how Uber could be disrupted with Super. Facebook can be disrupted, because what is Facebook doing now? They're censoring everybody at a time when we need data. We need information. We need to cross-reference what's happening in the world with this COVID and all this stuff. We need other doctors and scientists and genealogists and immunologists to come with data and facts. But they're actually, they're actually deleting information, and they're actually censoring, and that's dangerous. When you have information only coming from one source, if they're only allowing you to tell one story, what's the difference in us in North Korea? What's the difference in us in Russia? What is the difference when you're censoring information? So right now it's a very interesting time to live in, because we have an informational war. We have a psychological war going on with the people. We have a financial war going on. There's so many wars going on. It's not even funny, So it's a good time to live if you're finding the right people to study with. And that's why I said that the family cash machine, we're not just studying money, but we're a group of people that share information, and we all come bring this information back so we can make better decisions in our investments. And it's working great, because one of the things I notice about our people, they give me information they don't want to share with nobody. And that's not helping us. If we all share data and share information, it'll make for more powerful, unified teams of people who can really impact our communities in a very impactful way.
Exactly. Shout out to my brother Teddy Doyle from the BMO Black Man's Option. He's put 90% of GameStop was shorted. The Reddit group saw that hedge funds. The Reddit group saw what hedge funds were doing. They pumped up the stock. The hedge funds lost their bets, losing $1.6 billion. Shout out to my man.
$1.6 billion that they lost was that Friday, but it was totaled up to about $5 billion altogether. We showed the article, but that $1.6 billion was in that 1 week. But it was almost up to about $5 billion now total.
Yeah, man, this is like I said, you was the first guy here right on this show. You was like, yo, man, the stock market manipulated. I'm not really dealing with it. And then when all this happened, a month or two later, I'm just like, damn, let me call my man Erict Brent, because he was dead on with this. Now, in the future, do you see just people in general investing more in the crypto space than they do stocks? After this
that's why I have a school. The Family Cash Machine has the cryptocurrency college, because I realize that knowledge is more powerful than anything. So I want to give the people the knowledge, the right knowledge of money, because I study money differently than they teach in school. Now, being an appraiser, a commercial real estate appraiser, being a person who traded myself, I traded Japanese yen, Swiss francs, Deutschmarks, and even coffee back in the 90s. And I even traded from jail. I made trades from jail. But when I came home, I made trades as well. And I never learned the stuff that I'm learning now about money and understanding more about decentralization. Now, what I wanted to say, like, again, we can disrupt Uber. We can disrupt other major corporations by creating decentralized platforms. And when you create a decentralized platform, and give me an example, I'm hoping more people come to our classes and learn. I talk to a lot of investors, because I did real estate for so many years, and a lot of them got a lot of property, and they call me and say, hey man, look, I don't really want to learn that much about crypto. I just want to invest. Show me how to trade. And you can't come into this industry with that kind of mindset. I'm going to tell you why. Because there was a lot of people back in 2017, they heard Bitcoin was merging and Chicago Mercantile Exchange and all these platforms were creating contracts. And so a lot of people came into Bitcoin not knowing anything. They just saw it going up and going up and going up. And it went to 20,000. It went to 20,000, then it came back down to 3,000 because most of the people that came in didn't have any clue of what it was really about. And so a lot of people you'll hear say, man, I lost money on Bitcoin. I got in at 18,000. And I'll tell them, how did you lose? How did you lose? Because now Bitcoin didn't hit 40,000 and 30,000. So even the people that came in at 20,000 back in 2017, they still would be winning right now if they held on to their Bitcoin. But because they didn't understand the technology, and they came in with this Wall Street trading mindset, they got in at 18, 19,000. They saw it going down and they sold at a loss. That's why they lost money, because they didn't just hold their position. You don't have to sell Bitcoins. If you buy Bitcoins, there's no pressure to sell it. When you come into the stock market and you buy a product and it goes the opposite way, they're going to call a margin call. They're going to want you to put more money in. That's not what it is in Bitcoin. When you buy Bitcoin, you own that coin. You possess that. So why did you lose? Why did these people lose? Because they were thinking, oh, it's going down, I got to sell. The mindset. They didn't understand the technology. It's just like if you buy a house. If you buy a house and it drops 50 grand in equity, you gonna sell your house at a loss? No, you're gonna sit there and wait till the market bounce back. It's the same with Bitcoin. It's not gonna go down in a year, 2 year, 3 year projection. It's gonna continue to go up, but I can't just tell you that. You have to study the technology to understand why it makes sense that it's gonna go up. So we wanna give people the knowledge. We don't want you to just come in this thinking it's just a trading thing, because again, the Wall Street is manipulated. It's manipulated. So it's that, that's not even real. It's a fantasy. It's an illusion. And 75, 80% of the people that trade, they lose. This is the facts. This is not me making this up. So in cryptocurrency, I guarantee you, anybody that got into cryptocurrency 5 years ago is ahead of the game. Anybody that got in a year ago, ahead of the game. So it's the success rate is off the chain, but it's even more to it than that. It's understanding, like I said, the economic aspect, the political aspect, as well as the decentralized computer functionality asset. We teach all of that, and we help you to grow into a decentralized mindset. Like I just broke down Uber. I can break down so many other companies on how they can be decentralized. Now I'm gonna say this for you before I close this out. Why can't they stop Bitcoin? Why can't they stop it? Why can't they stop it? I'm gonna tell you why. Because it's no CEO. There's no headquarters. It's millions and millions of people decentralized in a network. How do you stop 100 million people? How? That's what Bitcoin is. And it's the idea and the philosophy of that business model that has the power to disrupt this world and redistribute wealth like you wouldn't believe. I'm in that position, and I'm putting people in that position to be on the right side of history, because the governments, they're trying to come up with this whole centralized coin and token where they're going to even more be able to monitor you and even more restrict you from trading or doing transactions or whatever. They're going to see every penny you spend. So you need to learn this system. You need to learn Bitcoin and cryptocurrency and blockchain technology, so you and your family will have something that you possess that has a real store value, that's going to continue to grow your wealth, and not something that you're trusting the government value and you're trusting them, to have a medium of, and they can crash those currencies. And they always do crash those currencies. And this is how they extract wealth from the masses, because they get you to put your trust in them, and then they crash these economies. This has been happening throughout history. I've studied fiat currencies. I went through A to C. I went through a lot of them, and they all ended. And I got to about 600. And when I got from A, B, and C of history of currencies, of fiat currencies, after about 600 of them, guess what? They all ended in zero. Every single one of them. No fiat currency has ever existed, has ever lasted. So this is the stuff they don't teach you. in school. They don't teach you about silent money. They don't teach you what gives money its value, what gives money not value, what makes money lose its value. This is the kind of stuff you need to learn. And it's so easy. It's not hard at all. It's very simple. So you have to learn this in this day and age when currencies around the world are crashing and economies are redefining themselves and governments are grabbing more and more authority to control us. We have to learn it. This is imperative that you learn it. And as you learn it, you're going to put yourself in a position where you're going to be so wealthy. It's not going to be funny. Just by having the right information and being on the right side of history at the right time as this exchange of wealth is happening, you can do this all with knowledge. So that's what we're about in the Family Cash Machine, man. And then we do trust funds. We teach people corporations and all this other stuff on how to protect it once you get it. That's a whole nother level.
Excellent information. How can brothers reach out to you?
Brothers can reach out to me on actually they can go to the Family Cash Machine, thefamilycashmachine.net. They can sign up for a free Phoenix class, and then from there you can start, getting more advanced classes. Of course, we do have some more advanced classes, and once you guys get to certain levels of classes, I think it starts now at $350. You share in the revenue. We actually have the first decentralized school in the world, meaning that the school, the institution, the university shares its revenue with the students. How many schools do that? And we pay you in Bitcoin. The reason we pay you in Bitcoin, because if you send me your social, if you send me your bank account, guess what? You indirectly sent your social, because your bank account is connected to your name, and your social, and all this other stuff. So if you send us, if you become a member of our company, then all you have to do is just buy your courses, study your classes, and then as students start coming in, you guys get distribute a portion of Bitcoin every so many students, and it happens over and over again. It's just that simple. But they also can contact me through my email, they can go. I'm kind of full. They can go to the Family Cash Machine on Facebook and go to the Facebook and contact me as well.
Okay.
The Family Cash Machine. We have a Facebook page, and they can contact me through there as well. So that's what that is. And we also on Instagram, Family Cash Machine. And so that's where we at.
Excellent. Well, brother, I appreciate you coming on the show. You dropped a lot of knowledge for us, man. Like I said, anytime I have a question about what's going on with this crypto or stock markets, you're the first guy I call, man. So I appreciate you coming on the show.
I appreciate you having me, my brother, and I hope the people was able to follow where we was going. There's so much different, like I said, moving parts here, but I do want to encourage people to study cryptocurrency. Don't just come into it as a trading thing. Don't just do that, because there's so many layers of this cryptocurrency. There's so many ways to make money. I can name about 16 different ways to make money in this industry that you guys have never heard of, and millionaires are being made every single day in this industry, and they're younger. I've seen people with 28 billionaires in this industry, 26 billionaires. Most billionaires are 60 and 70 years old. So this industry is creating more billionaires faster than any other industry in the world, and they're not talking about it. They just talking about Bitcoin. Bitcoin is not all. There's over 8,000 different cryptocurrencies in this industry. In fact, we have our own cryptocurrency called a Fam Cash Coin, which is now starting to create value because we use that for people to purchase our courses. Value can be created with anything that you use in exchange. And that's what they don't teach you in school. And we teach you guys how to create your own value.
Excellent, brother. Well, we got to do this again sometime, bro.
Yes, sir, man. It's always a pleasure talking to you, my man. And again, like I said, I love your platform. I'm glad I'm a part of it, because brothers need to network information as well. I like to see the pretty girls too, but at the same time, it's great that we can share information. And I see a lot of brilliant brothers on your platform, and I'm excited to be a part of this particular platform, Black Men Travel.
Yeah, Black Men Travels, man. We try our best to give brothers information that they need in order to put themselves in a better position to improve their lives, man. So traveling, cryptocurrencies, investing is that what we all about, handling business, bro. So appreciate you coming on the show again, man.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. You have a great one.
I'll meet you up, bro.
Okay, peace.